No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of Friday Night Smackdown for November the 25th, 2022, on the eve of Survivor Series War Games. Now, I'm not sure how this stream is going to go as far as viewership and people that are able to watch it live, because we had a unique evening, to say the least. So, a lot of people were not able to watch SmackDown live, and pretty much everyone was unable to watch the first segment of the show. There was a college football game between UCLA and California that was on Fox at 8 o'clock Eastern. The game did end about 10 minutes in, but then we had preemptions for people in various parts of the country, and for people in Michigan and other areas, SmackDown did not air yet as we went live here for the No DQ recap. I think 10:30, 11 Eastern is when a good portion of the East Coast will be able to watch SmackDown. I had to do it live. I had to watch the show live, so I went on one of those websites that has the free live streams, and I was able to find an international stream. People outside of the US were able to watch SmackDown live, so that's what I did, and we're going with it here. We may have a low live turnout, but to the people that are watching, I very much appreciate it under the circumstances. Darren G, Joey Perez, Ken Terminates DQ, CC Drink, Matt Helms, Mohammed. Thank you all for tuning in. And anybody watching this on demand, thank you for watching. I very much appreciate it. I will recap the show as I normally would every single week. So let's get right into it. And if you're watching live and you did not see SmackDown, then shut off the stream, watch later. All right. We kicked off SmackDown with Damage Control in the ring. Bayley said they did not want to wait any longer to find out who the fifth member of Team Bianca would be. She called out Bianca's team. Bianca Belair and her crew showed up. But of course, Bianca said they were not coming alone. And we had the music hit of one Becky Lynch. She is indeed back. 4 months being out of action due to a shoulder injury. She came into the ring. A big fight broke out. Becky cleared the ring, and then Rhea Ripley got into the ring and wanted to fight Becky, but Bianca and company got on the apron, and Bayley's team managed to convince Rhea Ripley to back away and wait for the War Games match. Becky Lynch is back. And as I mentioned on the predictions video, if Becky was the fifth person, I was going with Team Bianca to win, and I am sticking to that prediction. I think that Bianca's team will win. I cannot see Becky Lynch losing her first match back from injury, especially when Bianca's team has the disadvantage going into War Games. They have the disadvantage in the match, and I just see the faces picking up the win here and getting some revenge. We had our first match of the evening, which was Butch versus Santos Escobar in a World Cup semi-final match. Butch was targeting the elbow. By the way, Zelina Vega was out there on commentary. Escobar ended up knocking Butch off the top rope to gain the upper hand. After the commercial break, Butch gained control. Butch hit a moonsault to the members of Legado del Fantasma on the outside. Legado took advantage with a suicide dive. Both of them ended up on the top. Butch went after the fingers, and then Legado, they showed up again to protect Santos. So Butch hit another moonsault off the top, and at this point, a fight broke out backstage. The Bloodline attacked Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. So Sheamus and Ridge Holland ran to the back to help out their teammates. And back in the ring, Zelina Vega got on the apron. Legado del Fantasma took some cheap shots, and then Santos Escobar hit the Phantom Driver and got the win over Butch to advance to the final match of the World Cup. Good match here. They did the typical distractions and whatnot, but hey, you built up the main event for War Games, and ultimately that's what it's all about. We had a recap of the Bray Wyatt and LA Knight segment from last week, with Wyatt being all normal, and then all of a sudden LA Knight was laid out backstage. Bray Wyatt came to the ring, talked about how he understands the pulse of what people think he is. He said that people see him like a rabid animal, but he's not that. People just want to see the Fiend. He did specifically mention the Fiend, but he said that's not the man he wants to be. He was adamant that he did not attack LA Knight. And then all of a sudden he was interrupted by Uncle Howdy once again, the video package with Uncle Howdy. And then we cut over to LA Knight. LA Knight was injured. He had a crutch. His arm was in a sling. And he said he did not get to enjoy Thanksgiving due to Bray Wyatt, and he was doing some trash talking. Later on, we saw LA Knight laid out once again. He was taken out 2 weeks in a row. Caleb Jacobs sent in a $2.06 super chat, so thank you for that, Caleb. He says, LA Knight better run. Well, he's going to have to run faster, or maybe just avoid SmackDown, unless he can figure out a way to handle this force, Uncle Howdy or whoever is attacking him, and maybe we'll find out. I agree with some criticisms of the Bray Wyatt angle. I do want to see him in the ring and see what he can do. I feel like they're really dragging out him actually getting in the ring. Hopefully we'll see that happen before the end of the year. I think that it would be nice. And for a lot of people, SmackDown just ended right this moment. There was like a 10-minute delay for some of the country. And then, like I said, some of the country, others will not even be able to see SmackDown until 10:30 Eastern, 11 Eastern. But there was a 10-minute delay for some people in the country. Anyways, if you're just tuning in, I'm going with this like I normally would. I watched the international feed of SmackDown on some free site. Had to do it because I pay to watch SmackDown, and I was not able to watch SmackDown. So I hate football, to quote Seth Rollins. We had Hit Row versus the Viking Raiders. Sarah Logan has a new name. She is now known as Valhalla, and I guess it's a name that the gods gave her. This was almost a squash match. The Viking Raiders dominated Ashanti Adonis. Top Dollar did tag in, get in some offense, but then when Adonis tagged back in, Top Dollar was sent over the top rope, and Adonis had been selling his knee during the match, and the Vikings ended up hitting a double power bomb, which has a new name as well, and they scored the 1-2-3 victory. What is up with Hit Row? Is it just me, or has the Hit Row faction return been kind of flat? I think a lot of people might say that Swerve was the charisma of this group. For whatever reason, it just doesn't seem like they're catching on, even with the Triple H push. Can they be salvaged? That's the question. Without Swerve, guess time will tell. But at this point, it feels like they have no real momentum going for them, and we'll see if anything changes with them. But as of right now, they have cooled off significantly since the initial return. Tic Tat Tat thinks they need a leader. Well, chat room, who should be the leader? And for people watching on demand, leave a comment on YouTube. If Hit Row added a new member to freshen up the group and give them a new lease on life, who should it be? Carmelo? Somebody else? Leave a comment, let me know. We had footage shown of Dominic Mysterio attacking Rey Mysterio in Rey's own home. On Thanksgiving night, WWE published a video of Dominic and Rhea Ripley showing up at Rey's house. Rey apparently wears his mask when he's home having his Thanksgiving dinner, and Dominic came in and beat the holy crap out of Rey Mysterio. The segment got millions of views on various outlets, so looks like it was a successful angle. And I suspect we will see more interactions, and I really do think they're doing a slow build for WrestleMania, Rey versus Dominic, maybe with the mask on the line. We had Ricochet versus Braun Strowman in a World Cup semifinal, and the idea was that Ricochet was very much the underdog. They did bring up the flippy flopper comment made by Braun Strowman on social media, and Braun Strowman patted Ricochet on the head. Good boy. He got slapped for it, and Ricochet was using his speed, hit some drop kicks, drop kicked Strowman into the barricade, but was then bum rushed over the announce table by Strowman. Strowman was dominating the match, was seemingly on the road to victory, but we had Gunther walk down to the ring, and Gunther provided a distraction. The rest of Imperium got on the apron, and I guess stupid babyface Braun Strowman got rolled up by Ricochet with a crucifix pin. And yes, Ricochet got the 3 count on Braun Strowman. Strowman taking his first official L since returning to WWE. Now, of course, it was fluke finish, distraction finish, whatever. But Ricochet did officially defeat Braun Strowman. There you go. Building Nexus sent in a $2 super chat, says, is WWE saying Gunther is scared of Braun Strowman? Well, I guess that's the idea, that maybe Gunther has finally met his match against Braun Strowman, but now we're not even getting Braun Strowman versus Gunther, because it's Ricochet versus Santos Escobar, which is interesting because as much as I'm all for a Ricochet push, he's not beating Gunther. They already did that match, and Santos is a heel. Even though Braun Strowman winning was the obvious, predictable route, that was the one that made sense. And they shot the angle last week where Walter Gunther was scared of Braun Strowman, which some people did not like. But the idea is that you want to build somebody up that Gunther might actually be a little bit intimidated of. And that's what they were going with. So very odd booking, in my opinion. But at least on paper, Santos versus Ricochet is a better match to wrap up that World Cup tournament. I mean, that should be an awesome match. I'm looking forward to that one. That is the one thing that makes sense. But overall, odd that they would tease Gunther being scared of Braun Strowman, and then they're not going to do that match, at least in the short term. Could end up being at the Royal Rumble. They may very well do Gunther versus the winner of the World Cup on SmackDown in a couple of weeks. Would not shock me. Then we had a backstage segment. Oh, by the way, I forgot. There was an attack after the match. Imperium beat down Strowman. Ricochet ran down to help out, and Strowman eventually cleared the ring, and then Strowman helped up Ricochet and gave him some props. Looks like Ricochet and Braun Strowman are tight now. They're on good terms. They got that mutual respect. So backstage, Kevin Owens confronted Sami Zayn outside of the Bloodline's locker room, and Owens was saying what happens when Sami Zayn pisses off the Bloodline and Roman Reigns. Owens said that Zayn should not wait for the Bloodline to turn against him. And as he was saying this, Jey Uso was on the other side of the door and he was eavesdropping. He heard the conversation, and when Kevin Owens left, Jey confronted Sami and asked him if he had been talking to anybody, and Sami Zayn lied to his face and said no. The plot thickens. We had a War Games video package for the men's match, which was well done, and Michael Cole went over the rules, talked about how there's the advantage at the beginning, and once all 10 people are in the ring, then it's the submission to end the match, pinfall or submission, I think. I'm not even sure at this point. I know in WCW it was submission, but I forgot what the NXT rules were. Might be pinfall. Chat room, let me know. We had Becky Lynch interviewed backstage. She is back. She will be the 5th member of Team Bianca, and she said her shoulder is still banged up, but the time off gave her an opportunity to reflect on things and think about getting revenge on Damage Control. Michael Wayne said it is pin or submission, so you can do a pinfall or submission to win War Games, not just submission. In WCW, it was submission only, from what I remember. We had Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler attacking Raquel backstage, and Ronda crushed the top of the crate down onto the arm of Raquel, and the announcers were talking about a possible broken arm and how Raquel had to go to the hospital, not the local medical facility. They have changed their stance on that. Now that Vince McMahon is gone, you can say hospital again. So Ronda and Shayna then came to the ring, and they were telling Shotzi to stay at the kiddie table. Shotzi arrived. It was supposed to be a tag match, and Shotzi decided to go through the match. It was 1-on-2. She did hold her own for a while, but the momentum did not last. However, Raquel returned, got the hot tag, but she was double teamed. She was still working with one arm, and then Rousey went after the other arm, and then Rousey put the armbar on Raquel, and Shotzi was forced to watch by Shayna Baszler, and of course, Raquel tapped out. And afterwards, backstage, Shotzi was interviewed, said that the arm of Raquel was broken. The elbow has been dislocated. However, she is going to shock the world at Survivor Series, and she will beat Ronda senseless. It's personal now because Raquel stuck up for her when she was being bullied. I hate to say it, but Shotzi ain't winning that match. She will not be shocking the world. And I agree 100% with Darren. I was even thinking about this during SmackDown. They need to change Ronda's music. Her song is a babyface song. Damn Reputation. It's a cool song, but I think with her as a heel, it needs to be something different. It needs to be a slower tempo, darker song for her being a heel character. I think that's one thing they need to change up with her. But just don't go with Def Rebel. Give her a licensed song that fits her being a heel character. And then we had our main event of the evening, the War Games Advantage match. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus the Usos. And there was a standoff early on with everybody on the outside. You had Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn, along with the Brawling Brutes out there, and Kevin Owens. Match went back and forth here for a while, and Sami Zayn started to interfere. He got involved. Then there was a huge brawl. Everybody was fighting. Sami Zayn went for the SmackDown tag title and was going to use it as a weapon, but Kevin Owens ended up standing in front of Sami Zayn, grabbed the title, and told Zayn to grow some balls. And that's when Zayn grabbed the title back from Owens, but then Owens threw Zayn into the ring with the title. Referee saw Zayn with the title and kicked him out, told him to leave. And as this was going on, Sami Zayn was escorted away, and Kevin Owens got back into the ring and hit the stunner to Jey Uso. And then Sheamus hit the bro kick and scored the 1-2-3 victory over Jey, which means the Brawling Brutes will have the advantage in War Games. The good guys have the advantage, which goes against the psychology of the heels having the advantage throughout the entire War Games match. Now, that changes things. The faces were standing tall at the end of SmackDown. The announcers were teasing the idea that the Bloodline's in trouble. They might lose at Survivor Series. I think I'm changing my prediction. I was previously going with the Brawling Brutes, the faces to win, some kind of dissension between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But now I'm changing my prediction. I think the Bloodline will somehow pull off the victory, and they're going to slow burn Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens a little bit longer, maybe to the Royal Rumble. But yeah, I am officially changing my prediction. Initially, I was agreeing with Caleb, but after the end of SmackDown, I'm changing it. I just don't see Bloodline with the disadvantage losing the match after that. And the fact that they were teasing the idea that the Bloodline, their dominance is in jeopardy at Survivor Series. Now I think the Bloodline will, in fact, pull off the victory. And Torvik says it ultimately doesn't matter, but yeah, I am going with the Bloodline to win. Plus, I don't think both face teams are winning War Games. And since I'm going with Bianca's team to win the women's War Games, I'm going with the Bloodline to win the men's War Games. And that was SmackDown, everybody. It was a good show. It's hard for me to judge it because of the circumstances. And I did miss the beginning segment. I had to go back and watch it. So that may have skewed my feelings on it. But all in all, I mean, Becky Lynch was ultimately the person that I think was the front runner to be the return. We did talk about this during the predictions, and she was rumored during the week, close to coming back from injury. Just felt like she was the most likely candidate. So it wasn't like it was a huge shock or anything. Sasha, honestly, would have been a bigger shock. But it was a good show. They did very solid build-up for Survivor Series. I'm intrigued about both War Games matches. They definitely got me more intrigued with Becky returning and confirming that. And with the main event, like, who knows? Maybe the Brawling Brutes still pick up the victory. I'm not super confident with how that's going to end, but I am changing my pick. And yeah, I just thought it was a very solid show, so I am giving it a B. Good SmackDown, good build-up, and if you missed it, it wasn't the end of the world event or anything like that, but I still got some good enjoyment out of the show. Building Nexus with the $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, do you think Wyatt has a split personality gimmick? Yeah, I think that's the idea, that he has the voices in his head, not necessarily Randy Orton. By the way, shout out to Randy Orton. Sounds like he's going to be out of action due to his back, but hopefully we'll see him return to WWE and have at least one more solid run. He might not come back full time. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, he is 42. We've seen guys come back pushing 50 and they still have several years left. He could come back and have another solid run, but it might not be for a while. I think with Bray Wyatt, too, there could be the possibility of some other people getting involved. Maybe Uncle Howdy is not actually Bray Wyatt, but rather somebody else that we've been talking about. Maybe Bo Dallas. I'd like to see it. Maybe somebody else is the one that's pulling all the strings and causing Wyatt to have these mixed feelings. We'll have to wait and see. Royal Rumble coming up. Maybe Sasha Banks returns then. People still think she might show up in Boston, but I think that's a long shot. You never know, though. Anything can happen. At least back in the old days, that was the motto. Anything can happen in WWE. Looking forward to War Games. Should be a hell of a show. And I will be doing live results coverage on NoDQ.com as always, Saturday night. And then after the show, I will be back on YouTube. I think we'll be at whatever the normal time is because it's on Peacock. They don't have to worry about the preemptions. So tune in. I'm guessing 11 o'clock-ish, somewhere around there, for a recap of War Games. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy Survivor Series, as Noah Foster would say. Enjoy professional wrestling, damn it. And buy merchandise. NoDQ.com/merch, 20% off. Early bird is the coupon code. Take care, everybody, and say yes to NoDQ.com. See you next time.